disconnected.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to the Melanin Mindset. I'm the Nappy Dreamer.
And I'm Tia Blaine.
And tonight we are coming to have some hard-hitting conversation with you all. So let's see who we got coming in for our first comments tonight. And I hope everyone's doing great. We got some viewers coming in. We're going to let them come on in. Y'all, we had a few technical things going on, so we did not have our banging intro, but y'all already know. You already know. So, friend, you want to go ahead and give them a little intro as to what we're getting into tonight?
As soon as I can find it.
Intro as to what we're getting into tonight.
So, tonight we're going to talk about gentrification and how it affects our community and what types of things to look for and maybe some suggestions as to what to do if you end up in a situation where your neighborhood is being gentrified.
So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and drop a couple of definitions out there for you all before we get going. So the first definition we have is what in the world is even gentrification, right? Gentrification is when like a poor or urban area gets an influx in middle class and wealthy people who renovate and rebuild the homes and businesses.
Yes.
So the effects of gentrification. It causes an increase in property value, displacement of usually the earlier and less fortunate residents in the neighborhood. And one thing that came to my mind when we were looking at information for gentrification and whatnot, it was segregation. A lot of us are really, really acclimated to the fact that segregation is like, white versus black, right? So in actuality, segregation is literally just the designated separation of a thing. Now, we do understand racial segregation, where it's separating by, maybe your ethnic background or your race. But general segregation is simply just a separation or splitting apart of a specific group into another group. All right. So when we got into looking at gentrification, of course, we're looking at how this affects our communities. So that is what we're going to be talking about tonight, gentrification and the effects that it's having on our communities.
Yes. So, of course, we've all heard gentrification and things like that. The first thing that always came to mind with me was like, oh, how people say the phrase, oh, there goes the neighborhood. Well, for us in our community, there goes the neighborhood. Usually that less melanated people were moving in, taking over the businesses and so on and so forth. And I never really understood why it was such a problem until we decided to make this a topic and really dive into it. And it definitely is a bit, I knew it was a problem, but I didn't understand the magnitude of which it is a problem. I should say it like that. So one of the things that was a big thing was how the rich are coming in. Basically, the wealthy are coming in. This is real estate that nobody cares about. It's dirt cheap. And they're coming in here and they're putting their glitter and glitz and glam on it and making it look nice and shiny for the other rich folk and their cousins and their kinfolk to come in and take over the neighborhood. So What happens, a lot of things are happening when that happens. Number one, you're displacing the people who live there because now, once you've improved an area, property taxes go up, rent goes up, businesses end up closing down. A lot of people who live in those neighborhoods are the same people who run the businesses in those same neighborhoods. So You're displacing them from their business, from their homes, and also too, and it's funny because you said something about segregation. There's already segregation. You got the poor neighborhoods and you got the wealthier neighborhoods and you got the middle class.
Period.
Once they come into this neighborhood now, we done got comfortable with our segregation. We done got comfortable with our little corner. Leave us alone. We minding our business. But now that it's come in, I'm now not as comfortable as I was before. I should say that. So they're coming in and they're like, oh, we're just trying to make the neighborhood better. There's no way you can understand you coming in with your money and your wealth, thinking that you're helping my neighborhood that you know nothing about.
So true.
Right?
So true.
And we even had found like some funny memes and stuff. Oh, I saw one. I saw a little video where this girl, she was like, how to keep the rent prices low. So she just was asleep and she woke up and took 3 shots out the window, talking about just trying to keep my rent down.
Yes, and it was a meme. It was a meme that I actually read, and it was like the dude said, after I moved into my neighborhood, I used to hear ever so often like a gunshot go off. He said, well, one night he heard it and he went downstairs to go look, and it was his neighbor. His neighbor was like, oh yeah, don't worry, that's just me. I fire it off every month or so just so that I can keep the taxes low and the cost reasonable. I was like, dang, people got all the gentrification jokes, bro.
Yeah, and I mean to think that you would go through such lengths, like if that's actually true, that you would go through such lengths to like not improve your neighborhood and not, try to keep crime low or try to clean the streets and stuff like that, because once you do, it's gonna attract another group of people and change the dynamic of your neighborhood. Like that just sounds like it's a bigger issue. Like this is something that I don't know, like, shouldn't you level the playing field? Like, what the heck?
So, but we got to take a look at some of these pros and cons, because the thing is that there are people who actually believe that sincere gentrification is benefiting these neighborhoods. They actually believe that sincere gentrification is benefiting these neighborhoods. Listen, if it's benefiting your neighborhood and you are able to stay there, I'm telling you, it's not gentrification. So,
Yeah.
with that, we had a few facts here. We looked at a few of the pros and a few of the cons. Now, I learned something new too. I learned about what redlining was. Friend, you want to elaborate on the redlining situation while I get these other things up?
Basically, the way I understood redlining is where investors or banks would say that certain areas are not fit to invest in. So they would block people. Let's say I'm living in a neighborhood. I've been here all my life, but I've been renting. And now the opportunity comes for me to purchase said house I've been living in. Because my area has been deemed unfit for investment, I can't get a mortgage to pay for this house that I want to buy now. Also, redlining can also be equivalated with banks and such not giving minorities loans, because they already know they got plans to gentrify the area, so they'll just deny it based on the fact that, you're not what they see for the future of this neighborhood.
Right. And so it's causing a major rift, for lack of better words, in our communities, where it's like you're seeing that, okay, you got the Buy Back the Block campaign. If we have any viewers who have ever heard of the Buy Back the Block campaigns or anything like that, then let us know down below in our comment section if you've ever heard of that. But the Buy Back the Block campaigns are basically where the inhabitants of the community are going in and they're just like, okay, we're going to buy our houses, we're going to open up our own businesses and do stuff like that. But then they're being given a hard stop, or there's a red line being drawn that's preventing them from making these changes or doing these things in their neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So something that came up here, it says it was a pro, and then I also have the con. We also have the con underneath. So the pro says increase consumer purchasing power at local businesses. Friend, do you want to talk about that?
No, because I don't understand how that's a pro. Because if we lived in this neighborhood all this time, we've been buying from the businesses in this neighborhood. So you bringing in a new one, is that supposed to make me purchase more from this new business as opposed to the old one that's been here?
Right, exactly. It's like these businesses that are here.
It's a pro. It's not a pro to me who's been in this neighborhood. It's a pro to somebody whose business was already somewhere uptown and now they're gonna bring it to this new neighborhood. It's a pro for them because wherever they were before, they weren't making any money. But how is it a pro for my community? It's not. But anyway.
Oh man, see, in the stuff I was researching, friend, it was saying all these pros and all these benefits and stuff like that, but it's like you're not benefiting the people who live here.
The people who live there are not.
You are not benefiting the people who live here at all.
Benefiting at all. And that's how, when I was looking at the pros and cons, because I'm looking at it from a perspective of being someone who, I'm that person. I want to invest in property. I want to invest in neighborhoods. improve certain communities. But at the same time, do I want to do it at the expense of displacing people?
Right, because the con right up underneath it says displacement and housing demand pressures on surrounding poor areas. So it's like, because y'all built up these businesses, I can't afford to shop at these stores. All right, now I'm not gonna lie and say I've never been to Whole Foods. I've been to Whole Foods, but do I buy my regular groceries there?
No, you went to Whole Foods that only Whole Foods sell. I did not go in there and grocery shop for the month.
No, you went in Whole Foods because maybe you like cashew butter, so you go to Whole Foods to get some fresh cashew butter.
That's it.
And so it's like, you don't shop at Whole Foods to get your groceries. Like, well, I know some people who do.
If you live in these poor neighborhoods, no, you don't. And then for them to put a Whole Foods in this poor neighborhood, it's like, for what? Oh, because y'all bringing y'all homies and y'all about to put us out. That's there's no other way around it. They don't even consider the people that are there. Like, I was watching this one video, and I think it was a DC area, where they basically was telling everybody like, they had to leave. They had to leave because these were people in public housing. So they were renovating all of the public housing. So everybody had to leave for, let's say it took them 3 months. I don't remember how long, but let's say the renovation process was going to be 3 months. Where they going? They already live in public housing. Where am I going?
Right.
And that's what they didn't say. I was wondering, like, did they give them a hotel voucher? Did they give them something? They're just like, oh, we about to renovate. Y'all got to go. Like, where is I'm going? Because at this point.
where do you propose I relocate to? Where do you propose I relocate to? So,
and then they were telling them, it was like a controversy of whether they were going to be able to come back or not. And so you had like one representative saying, no, absolutely, everyone will be coming back. And then you had others who said, well, as long as you meet certain requirements, you'll be able to come back. Like, what?
Right. They figured out a way to get everybody out. They were able to get the building vacated, so now they can make whatever stipulations they like to make. Like, picture it. Like, you're renovating the whole building. I have to pack up my whole house for you to do the renovation.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I? Girl, storage is not cheap.
No.
Where am I going to put my stuff at? Like,
where's my stuff going? All of that.
Like, where do I stay? Things like that.
So
all
stressful.
of those.
That causes like a whole bunch of other mental health and crime and things that, they already are a part of this impoverished community, but it's going to be even worse. It's going to be even worse. And then you get pushed out further out, because now let's be clear, the areas that usually get gentrified are areas that are in close proximity to the city's center city, because most of the jobs are wherever the center city, wherever the tall buildings, the office buildings, the Microsofts and all those types, wherever those places are. Funny thing, usually those places are in impoverished neighborhoods because those big businesses chose those buildings because they were dirt cheap. So Microsoft goes, let me put this building in the middle of the hood, and this is where we're going to operate out of. Then, because that's the place where these people work, now they want to live closer, let's gentrify the area.
Right. So Mona shared down in the chat and said, yes, they have to relocate them, but don't have to move them back in. So Mona, what you're telling us is that they actually help these people get somewhere else to stay in the meantime while the renovation is going on. So that takes away one stressor, but it's like, where do I go after? Where am I going after you're done and my stay is over in whatever temporary housing location you've placed me in? You get what I mean? And then, something else I had saw too, before we move to the next pro and con. One other thing I had saw was where it talked about how when it came down to the gentrification, what was the word they used? I can't remember. Oh man,
it'll come back when we talk about something else.
Most likely. But like how she said, when they moved them out and whatnot, it's like in these neighborhoods, they are taking them. Let me see. Most of them paid to move. Oh wow, they are.
They're paid, but they're not paid enough to move and sustain a lifestyle. They do. Like a lot of them I have seen, like especially over here in Riviera area where I'm at, West Palm Beach. There was an area that was always known as, this was the hood. And they bought up all the houses because they were making that area of what's called Singer Island now, which was originally
I remember Singer Island.
Was just an extension of Riviera Beach, but because now it's a little up and coming, it's Singer Island, whatever. But they expanded into those impoverished neighborhoods and moved those people. Told them, okay, your house is only worth $60,000. I'm gonna give you $100,000. Okay, that sounds good. But the problem is that somebody who's lived in that neighborhood all of their life. You got to think about it. If I was born in this hood area, my house ain't never reached over $60,000 worth of value. You tell me $100,000, that sounds good. But I don't have the knowledge of what's out here. So in that same area where you could find $100,000 house, a $60,000 house, you cross 2 miles. You ain't gonna find nothing under $200,000. So where am I going?
Right. And something else.
$100,000 and I'm renting somewhere. And in our area, the cheapest rent for like a 1-bedroom is like $1,600. So you talk about if I got kids and I need 3 bedrooms and I rent, and then down here, I don't know if this everywhere, but you can't say, oh, I'm gonna make my 2 kids sleep together in a bedroom, especially if they're the opposite sex. No, they're gonna be like, both of them need a bedroom. So now it's me and my son and my daughter, and I need a 3-bedroom. I'm paying $2,200 in rent. I'm running through that $100,000 very quickly. You know what I'm saying?
And what the thought was that I had was when they get these high-rise apartments and things like that, and they start to remodel and renovate and adjust, what they do for the community, or what they consider that they are doing for the community, it doesn't seem like a great benefit, because how do you make the choice? But what's happening is they're leaving anywhere from 5 to 10 units on a designated floor for residents who have a voucher. That way they can still live there, afford to live there. But then what about the other 7 to 8 levels of this apartment complex that has now been displaced?
Yeah, it's still a lot of people. And even the ones who stay there, now the increase in price of things in their neighborhood, if they haven't changed their income, they still can't live there. They still can't live there. So you are literally displacing generations of people who have lived in this area for God knows how long, and forcing them. Now, granted, sometimes I feel like people do need to get up and get out of that area. You need to go try to do something better.
Right.
I'm an advocate for personal improvement. But at the same time, I don't believe it should be forced upon you.
That's true. You can't, clearly it's forced based off of everything that I saw when I was looking into gentrification. Clearly it's forced. So Linda shared in the chat, it's happening in low income areas in Philly every day. And then I also saw where Stan said they're encouraging Black families not to sell up here, but it fell on dead ears. Stan, I was seeing a lot of that as well. Apparently in Atlanta, there are some things going over downtown. Like if you've ever been downtown Atlanta, you've seen it. Remember when we went to do our pictures?
Last time I was there, you could see it clear as day. I'm like,
we went to do our pictures.
Look at that side of the street and look at this side of the street. Clearly, some gentrification is going around here.
Listen, we went downtown Atlanta for the first time that we went to take pictures, right?
So you guys are like in the middle of it. Like it is actively happening. They're sticking postcards in your doors offering to buy your houses. As is. That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say what you was going to say.
I forgot.
I'm done.
Yeah. All right. So what's the next pro and con that we have up here?
The next pro and con, I don't know. You got them on there. Where are they at?
All right. So higher incentive for property owners. Go ahead.
What's the higher incentive for property owners? What is it? Whoever came up with this pro and con list, they was child. Somebody had them a dream. What's the higher incentive for property owners?
So let's say I own this apartment complex. And see, the thing is that a lot of this information is really, really, really one-sided. It's benefiting the corporate, but not benefiting the supporters. So it's like these people live here and they thrive in this neighborhood, but then all of the pros are leaning toward, like Linda was saying, the business owner and the startup and all of that.
We're gonna call them the gentrifiers.
The gentrifiers. There we go. We'll call them the gentrifiers. It's them that's benefiting. Let me see here. So we got good evening. They surely did do that in Palm Beach as well as upstate New York. Almost 10 homes were bought on my grandmother's street, but she isn't selling. Get it, Grandma.
That's right, Grandma. Hold down.
Hold it down, Grandma.
Hold down.
Yes, that was a good one. I like that one. But yeah, so it's saying that for these property owners, because they're bringing in these tenants and these residents who are of, as it said in the definition, just strictly off the definition, they are wealthy or middle class individuals is who they're drawing into these neighborhoods. So of course, a wealthy or middle class individual is living a wealthy or middle class lifestyle and in turn spending wealthy or middle class money. So it's like, where are these other people going and what's happening? So the property owners are the ones who are benefiting the most. And those are the people who really don't need to benefit. It's like I've seen even on the news where they're like, the rich are just getting richer. Now, there's nothing wrong with being rich now. Go get your coins, chase the bag, secure your funds. But at the same time, at what cost are you making your strides? Yeah. Those are the things we have to consider.
And that's the thing that's never researched in gentrification. Like, we always follow how the neighborhood changed, how the crime got lower, how the schools got better. But do we ever follow, like Raheem from the projects to see where he at now? The one who couldn't afford to stay in said neighborhood and had to move out. Where are they now? Are they thriving somewhere because gentrification was such a great thing? And let's be clear, higher incentive for property owners, even if they're talking about the property owners right there in that area, they don't live there. They don't live there. The house we stayed in North Philadelphia, the owner of the house lives in the nicer neighborhood. So they're not gentrifying her neighborhood.
So her neighborhood was gentrified. That's why she's there.
Exactly. The incentive for her would be the house that she has down here in the hood. She could sell it and get a little cash for it. But at the same time, it's not benefiting the tenants, the people, the residents of that neighborhood at all.
Right. And so it says the con is displacement through rent and price increases. So in other words, if I've been paying $1,300 a month for the past, however long, maybe it started off as $1,000 a month, and now we up to 13 because rent go up every year. So what they're doing is just gradually pushing them out the door financially. So it's like, I can't afford to pay $1,600 a month for a 1-bedroom, studio type situation. I can't afford that. So you're looking at what's happening is them being pushed out. It's not, they're making it look like you chose to leave because you could no longer afford it. Mm-hmm. It's like they're trying to make it like you made that decision to leave. Mm-hmm. What Stan had to say, the irony of gentrification
is that they're getting property.
Go ahead.
New residents are getting robbed and killed. And that's sad, but let me tell you what that does to the gentrification process. It's going to make it go faster. It's going to make them say, they're getting out of control. Let's get them out of here as fast as possible. Right. They're going to buy up and build up even faster because they're going to try to outbuy the crime. They're going to, all of a sudden, the police going to start coming on time when people call. Because let me tell you something about growing up in these impoverished neighborhoods. The police don't come when you call them, but in the middle of a place getting gentrified, all of a sudden they show up. You call for your cat being stuck up the light pole.
Girl, that's the next what you call it. Hold up, let me put it up on the screen. So the next pro is a reduction in crime. Now let's just be clear. That is a pro no matter what neighborhood it is. Okay, so a reduction in crime, that's a benefit no matter what. But then it says loss of affordable housing as the con.
Yeah.
So you need to tell me for
The
my
only way
security.
that
So I sacrifice my security if I want to save money.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I need to
You
hear
want
from
to
the
save
people who
money, you
are
got to be
viewing.
okay with not being safe, according to this pro and con. According to
I'm,
this pro and con.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop a plug real quick, fan. So to those who
Okay.
are viewing us tonight, if this is your first time viewing us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so happy to have you. If you are returning, welcome back. Please feel free to peruse our comment section down below and let us know where you are viewing us from. We'd love to expand our reach and know who is watching us. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Melanin Mindset. If you're not already one of our followers, jump on over to Facebook and follow us on Facebook, The Melanin Mindset. We're also found on Instagram and Twitter, Melanin Mindset _. On Instagram, you will see content that you will not see on Facebook. So we do share things on Facebook, but our content on Instagram is very much so more exclusive than that, okay? So if you want to catch us live during the week doing random stuff or something like that, Instagram would be the place to be, all right? And Twitter as well. Then the last thing but not least is our newest endeavor over on the world of TikTok. We are the Melanin Mindset on TikTok, okay? So we'll be posting over there other exclusive content that maybe you won't see on Instagram unless you catch it on an Instagram story. So with that being said, let's get back into it. Tonight we're talking about gentrification. We've already talked about what in the world gentrification even is, who it is affecting the most, as well as what a wonderful thing, well, not wonderful thing, a new fun fact for me, although it's not that much fun. What is redlining? So we learned about what that could look like when dealing with gentrification and how they're separating and pushing out the Black community in certain areas. So let's keep going.
I just kind of wanted to add it into there though, like, you know, we're talking about, because this is the Melanin Mindset, so of course we always talking about us, but it's crazy how many other places this is happening. And yes, it definitely 98.9% affects Black and brown people. But as I was researching, I found a lot of articles from like London, Amsterdam. This is apparently a big problem in Amsterdam. So it's not just, you know, confined to the United States. Like, it's a global problem.
Yes, it is definitely and it's affecting impoverished neighborhoods. All of the money that you're putting into rechanging and adjusting and building these neighborhoods, like, did you know? And I'm not saying give nobody nothing. I'm not an advocate for just handing it out. Now, I know some people do need help. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not saying that these business owners should just go give their money, because I run a small business and I'm not just giving it away. You get what I'm saying? But at the same time, what I'm saying is that in the efforts to make these adjustments, can you not place avenues or something like that to benefit the actual inhabitants of that neighborhood?
Yeah, and I was thinking of that too. Like, because it's like gentrification is a problem, then what is the answer? You know?
And that's the hard part. I couldn't
And I
find
mean,
any direct responses.
the biggest thing would be like certain policies being put in place. So that would be a part of picking your, you know, your immediate politicians, your state representative, your governor, your mayor, those people, picking them right so that they are protecting these areas.
Right.
Like with things such as a rent cap. Like, don't let the people take my rent and increase it 60% and expect me to come up with that in a month. Like, there should be policies in place that, especially if this is low income housing or if this is a low income neighborhood, that stops them from increasing the rent so much. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, you wrote a message. I was gonna say, who is that? Block. That's you. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Clearly we only get people to block when we do giveaways. So our block
So
hand had to be strong that day.
What's our
So
next
another pro and con that's on our document here. I put the ones that were the biggest ones on there. So on our document here, we have the other ones, which are sharing things like All right, so
This
increase. Go ahead.
yeah, I think this one, the stabilization of declining areas, and then commercial and industrial displacement. But I guess I would have to understand what they're talking about of the declining area.
They talk about
What,
the hood.
but what makes it declining? Because I mean, in my experience, the hood is just the hood. It's just the same. No matter when I go back, it's just the same. It's not declining. It's not increasing. It's just the same.
Mm. So the crime rate doesn't change. The quality of the buildings are being repaired regularly, like
No, there are a lot now. Okay, so I've looked at it like that. There are a lot of abandoned buildings and things like that. And yes, those. Okay, so that's the stabilization. That's the declining areas.
Uh-huh. And then it
But
said,
if you only fix those things, I don't think that if you took one of these buildings that's falling apart and renovated whatever the building was, I guess you have to find a purpose for it. And the only purpose that they're finding for it is to make them into condos. And then if you make them into condos, then you got to bring people in there that will live in these condos, and you got to put other businesses in there that those people will shop at. And yeah, it's just not a good idea. I don't know.
it's a
They got to
trickle
come up
down
with something
effect.
better. Yeah, and not a good one like they try to make it seem. Because they try to make it seem like the trickle down effect will help the poor neighborhood. Oh, the rich will come in and spread their money out. No, they ain't.
See, here's the thing though. When they say neighborhood, it's not the same thing we're saying as a culture when we say neighborhood. When
Mm.
when I would say I would even venture that far to say non-melanated people are saying the neighborhood, they're looking at the physical location, like the street, the house itself. No,
Yeah.
when we say the neighborhood, we talk about the people that's in it. We talking
Yeah.
about everything about it. Like the neighborhood is the
Mhm.
culture for us. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
If
So
you
it's like,
change that culture, like it's not my home anymore.
right. And I think that's what they're banking on, friend.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Oh,
banking on
definitely.
that you will be
Yeah,
uncomfortable
they're
or
banking
not
on people
trusted.
who they're definitely banging on the people who have been impoverished for so long, and now they're offering them a voucher or a little bit of cash or a little bit of that. They're banking on the fact that they've been so desperate all their life that this seems like a meal ticket, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take it." And then they're also banking on the fact that like it's gonna be uncomfortable. That I'm not gonna want to live there anymore.
Right.
It's not where I grew up. It's not my neighborhood, and I'm just gonna leave. They're banking on all of that.
Hmm. Everything has changed. Everything is different. Nothing is like what it was or should have been or could have been. It's got
Mm-hmm.
another one. Reduce strain on local infrastructure and services. The con is increased costs and charges to local services.
Wait, say it again. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
It's letter I. Letter I. Reduce strain on local
Oh yeah.
infrastructure and services. So not so much strain. However, for the people who are there and doing the shopping, you're gonna spend a little bit more when you shop. It's gonna cost
Mm-hmm.
more. There's gonna be, more coming out of your pocket. And then we also have increased social environment is what it's saying, like more social opportunities and things like that. But then
And
it
it,
says loss of social diversity. Like, it's how are these good things if the bad thing is outweighing the good thing? You get what I'm saying?
yeah. Mm-hmm. The con is like extremely outweighing the pro.
Yeah, the
Like
cons are
increase local fiscal revenue is the pro, but the con is homelessness.
homelessness.
Like, okay, yeah, a lot of people won't have nowhere to live, but local fiscal revenue will increase.
Oh boy.
And
This
like we sit
it,
around and go, hey, sacrifices have to be made. Like what? I just
mm.
it is really sad. I worked on it for many years.
Oh wow, Denise. Did you all do anything, if you
Yeah.
don't mind me asking, did you all do anything to try to encourage the people to come out and express themselves, or was there space for them to do that, or was it just literally a lack of motivation, like they just felt like they were already defeated? Denise, let us know in the chat if it was like you experienced working hand to hand with these people and they just felt so defeated they wouldn't, or was it just that they were not trying?
Yeah. Now let me say this from a perspective of, I think just historically, we've always been told what to do, where to go, you know? So when something like gentrification happens, yeah, amongst each other, we talking about it and we complaining about it, but we don't get out and go to the community meetings that are happening and go to, when our politicians are talking about these subjects. We're not there. We're not there.
Nope.
And if it is anybody there, it's somebody great grandma. And they're gonna make sure that they're gonna feel sad for her, but they're gonna make sure that she okay, because she the only person that came out and voiced something. But everybody else, they just gonna be like,
What
well,
movie was that?
this is the representation. If we're about to displace 10,000 people, think about it. If we're about to displace 10,000 people and we're holding community meetings about what's about to happen, and 5 people show up, heck, if 100 people show up, that's still so little in comparison to how many people it's going to affect. So there's nobody there to represent and say, no, don't do this, Like, here's the better option. Like, what is the better option,
Listen, letter F says reduce vacancy rates, but the con is community resentment and conflict.
Yes, that happens. Because one little clip I watched, there was a non-melanin male who moved into a area that's in the beginning. It's the very early stages of this area being gentrified. Like, I think they put like a fresh market or something. So that's always the indication. Here they come with their healthy foods. But
Or Starbucks, friend, Starbucks.
Or Starbucks, right? So that came, and then he moved into this area that is 99% Black, right? And he starts buying up all the little rundown houses, the abandoned buildings, the abandoned houses, and renovates them and sells them. And then, of course, like one house, I saw the lady and her daughter was in here and was like, oh my God, it looks so different, because I think the house used to be her dad's house. And she was like really impressed with the improvements, but it wasn't nothing that she could afford to buy. Because now that it's been improved and beautified, she can't buy it. And another thing, there are so many programs out here that help you improve your house. Why aren't we going out and getting them? Is it because we can't get them, or is it because they're blocking it from us? I'm posing it as a question. So, because I don't really know, because I have not walked in said arena, but I'm just wondering, like, are they redlining us from getting those programs and those mortgages where it improves the house and things like that? Or is it just simply that it's just out of my reach?
That's a good question. So we want to know what you all have to think about, what you all think about that. Do you feel like a lot of the gentrification is taking place, and that the things that Kia was just talking about, where it's like there's so many opportunities out here, but you're missing them? So is it being streamlined to where you're not able to come across the information? Do you feel like you're not getting the information directly to you? Do you not have access to the resources for the information? Oh, Denise, thank you for giving us an answer here. So it says yes.
Go ahead, read, Margaret.
It says yes, lack of interest, or I'll wait to see what happens. Oh, wow. We would offer incentives in food and they would send their children to eat. My goodness. So let's talk to our community, Kia.
I might have low-key been guilty of that a time or two, where something was going on and I'd be like, I ain't going down there, but y'all going down there and get that food they give it away. Okay, so we need to learn from this.
Well, then you definitely need to encourage the people for that one, Kia, if you can relate to the people.
It's so important. It's so important, especially like everybody's in their current situation for different reasons. Some of us were just dealt a bad hand. Some of us were laid off. Whatever the reason is that you may be in this impoverished area. But it doesn't mean that you just have to accept what happens. And that's what happens, because I think, I'm just thinking, I think we feel defeated because we're not where, we feel as though we should be. So it's almost like I don't deserve to say anything because I haven't accomplished anything great. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about it within my little circle. I'm going to complain about it under my breath, but I dare not step out in public and say, no, you shouldn't do this for fear of the backlash of, well, what have you done? And we got to get over that. We really got to get over what people think about us.
Do you think that in some aspects we are pushing ourselves into a box and remaining narrow-minded about things, like how Denise was saying, lack of interest or wait to see what happens? Maybe they're already feeling defeated before they even speak their mind. It's like,
Absolutely.
I already know I don't have enough money to strong arm these people, so it's just going to be what it's going to be. And so they're not coming to the meetings because they're trying to figure out, what do I do when this goes down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the meantime, you already feel like it's going down. So you out here trying to find a job, trying to see who you can go stay with, what I'm gonna do with my kids, what school they're gonna go to if we got to move outside of our neighborhood. So yeah, I guess that's where the lack of interest comes in. Because right now, all I'm interested in about where I'm gonna be laying my head in the next few months.
Right. And we talked about self-determination in a previous episode, and we were sharing about how we talked about Kwanzaa as a whole initially in that episode, and then we talked about self-determination as our driving point. But in that episode as well, we talked about taking responsibility or having respect for your community, because Kwanzaa is legit a celebration of community. The whole thing is just a celebration of community. And so it's like just something as simple as, like I gave the example, I live on the corner street, the corner house. I live in the corner house. So people drive by all the time. You know how people litter? They drive by and they might throw a cup out the window. Well, if I just leave that cup in my yard and then the next car comes in another cup, the next car comes in another cup or a can, right? Then my corner where my house is going to look disgusting. I have to have enough pride in my corner, my little piece of real estate, okay, to pick it up, it up and make sure it doesn't stay there. In our communities, we sometimes, and a lot of times where gentrification takes place, is where we're missing that mark. Like, you can't take something from me that I already own. You get what I'm saying? You can't take from me what I already own. But it's like sometimes people get complacent, and it's like, yeah, I own this, but that check does look nice. And some people are easily enticed. With money, and that's not even just for the poor, the impoverished communities. Like, let's just look at a regular everyday person. If I walk up to you and say, I'll give you $100,000 for this, and you know that this is only worth a smaller amount, and you know that already, there are some people who are just that money hungry that they'll take the money instead of realizing what they're actually losing.
What they're giving up. Yep.
And some people will take the money not thinking what you're giving up, what you're losing in the process. Looks like we got another comment down here, Frank.
Yeah. Linda was saying that there's many programs for low-income families out there. They just don't know about them. Installation programs for new windows, they even have that same program will work for installation, AC and heating. And basically, people don't know it. You got to do the research and you got to share that. You have to share the information. Let's say that's something our community is really bad at. Like, I don't know if it's like you're afraid somebody gonna get something better than you, but it's like we do things and you can see that, like, okay, I bought a new house, right? I'm not secretive about what I had to do to buy this house. I'm going to tell you, you need to go do this. You need to talk to this person. You need to talk to that person. Come on. There's no reason that we can't own our own property. Listen. But then you have some people that be like, girl, they just give you the generic and don't want to talk about it. It was by the grace of God. And then don't say nothing else.
That's called gatekeeping, friend. Basically, where they filter or streamline the information they want to share. You run a small business and you happen to notice. I saw a post. Somebody is a photographer, and they shared a video of a bucket that they use. They do newborn photography, and so they showed a bucket that they use, and the bucket has like these magnets, that attach to this metal bucket, and you put the magnet on the front, and then you put the magnet inside, and it make it like a whole different bucket. And so you get all these different layer things to put on there. And somebody commented. Somebody commented and it said photography in their username, and they were like, that's so cool. I would love to know what that is. That, oh my goodness, where'd you find it? Do you know that the person who posted this commented on every post but that one?
Oh, like they wouldn't tell them.
They would not tell them where they got this bucket. And they've done multiple videos because the pictures were really cute. So I got caught. You know the rabbit hole you get in on social media.
Yeah.
So I got caught up looking at all the shoots and stuff. And this person has multiple videos showcasing this bucket. Okay. And did not answer that question. So it's not like you don't see these comments, because on that one particular video, you answered everybody else's comment except that one. So that's called gatekeeping, when you limit the amount of information you're willing to share about something. So even with all of these different programs, Linda, thank you for putting that out there, because I'm sure it'll spark somebody to do the research. If they know they can get their installation done and stuff like that, that'll spark somebody. You're sharing that information. But for those gatekeepers, like Kia said, when she got something or did something, she'll tell everybody, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you get it. Why? Because it's about the community come up. It's not about my singular success. I need my community to support me. You get what I mean? I need my community so that I can be great. Because when I leave my house that I paid all that money to make look nice, right? And did all those extra things to fix it up, I need my neighbor or my community not to have a problem swinging by my house to make sure it's still intact when I, while I'm gone.
When I'm out of town.
Right.
Let me tell you, and this is the difference between, this is how you can tell there's like a huge difference in what goes on in our communities and how we care about it versus how they care about it. You could tell just from our MAGA people how dedicated they are to his causes, and it makes absolutely no sense to us, but that for them, they're so passionate about it. Why? And we don't know why. Because to me, it's just like, I'm just looking at it at face value. But I guess if I actually took the time, just like we did for gentrification, and did the research and look at what our politicians are doing and look at what's going on in our neighborhoods, getting in touch with community action and all of those types of things, and really seeing, like, we could get ahead of this stuff. We got to stop allowing things to happen to us and start making things happen.
Right.
And every last one of us has the power to make things happen. So it's not easy, it's not comfortable, but we need to do it.
The note you have at the bottom, you added a note down at the bottom. You said, is our lack of support of Black businesses hurting and making gentrification easier? Yeah, that's a good one.
When I think about, like, I'm going to just use the block I grew up on. If you go around the corner, there is a series of small businesses. You got, I don't even know if it's still the same, but there's a bunch of little businesses. So you got the liquor store, you got the little deli, you got a beauty supply store, you got a hair salon, it was a little store that used to sell cell phones and things like that. See, I haven't been there in a while, but I'm just saying you had like a little market. And now most of those businesses were owned by people of Asian descent, right? Then I'm just use this one example because I know there was a Black girl that popped up and opened up a beauty supply store right across the street, right on the same block with everybody else. I'm actually guilty because I went in there because I was all ready to support a Black business, but baby girl prices was a little too heavy for my pockets that day. Now, granted, I didn't go in turn support somebody else. I just used some hair I already had. But like, if I in hindsight I just didn't have the money. This wig I wanted was $500, and sis just couldn't pull it off. But I never said, like, I never went back and been like, oh, her price is too high. If anybody ever asked me, I'm like, yo, go to the girl on the corner, you know, because I'm still about supporting her. It's just that day my pockets wasn't allowing. So my way to counteract that is I'm gonna tell other people because
right. Share the
I'm
knowledge.
still all for, like, I want her to succeed. I want her to be great. I don't know if she's still there. Stan, Linda, is she still there? The girl across the street on the corner where pharmacy used to be. But she's actually doing really good on social from a social media angle, and like globally, like doing things or going around the country doing things. But I wonder if her business is still doing good because you have. Okay, are you lying? I don't never know when to take my brother seriously. He's talking about she locked up. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, well, Stan did make a good point, though. It said even if things do happen to us, we need to stop complaining and take action. That's what those buy back the block campaigns are about, Stan. With those buy back the block campaigns, they're like legit putting up a hard stop to the things that are affecting them adversely in their communities.
Yeah.
It said, nah, she's still rolling. You gotta stop that. You gotta stop that.
I told you. That's why I said I knew not to. I was like, I don't believe him.
Oh my goodness. Listen, Stan made a comment. Anyway. Stan made a comment on one of our first episodes and literally lit a whole fire. Oh, I'm visiting Philly now, and it's not the same community. Oh man.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's definitely totally different. So yeah, so is that though? Like think about the Black stores in your community. Like, are you still supporting them? And even in this time of gentrification, you should be trying to support them even more if you can. Because again, we're talking about impoverished areas. But if you can, like, those are the times like that we really need to support each other.
That's so true.
Oh, you put the definition back up there.
Yeah, I did. I threw it back up.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I don't go outside. Oh man. Yeah, sometimes it's just it gets crazy. It gets crazy. Like living, just even me seeing different areas and things like that I was in when I was younger, and then seeing it present day. When we first moved out of my hometown, when I go back to Altamont, to the place we moved to after I left my hometown, when I go out there, it is night and day from what it was when I was a kid. Like we used to have Just for Feet. I don't know if you remember that sneaker store, but Just for Feet used to be on the corner across the street from the mall. You should have known something was up because it was across the street from the mall. And then there was a little small place, and kids will never understand, but they used to develop your film from your camera. So you take your little disposable camera, take your roll of film that was in the other camera.
So a small bit, and it was a small business, right?
And they would. And so they were there for a while, but then slowly but surely, Just for Feet became a Total Wine. Y'all, Just for Feet became Total Wine, okay? And then the Dollar movie theater in the back became a regular, I think it's a Regal now. And then they put a Burlington, and then they put a year-round Christmas store. Who shops for Christmas year-round? Now, I love Christmas, okay?
Year-round Christmas store.
I love Christmas. I love Christmas.
He's probably about to text you now and ask you where. Where is it?
Yeah, it's a year-round Christmas store, like right there. And it's just like, bruh. You know, these are stores that they have plugged in. And then it's a Bahama Breeze, a Seasons 51. Girl, all of that is right there in that area now. And it's so confusing to see. Because back when I lived there, it was Just for Feet. You had a little spot to go get something to eat. You had the guy who developed film across the street, you know, and he was for the good prices and stuff. But then now it's just so dramatically different. And different areas as well that they're building up and changing. And just, it's crazy. It's crazy to see. So, friend, do we want to just pause right here? We're going to go ahead and thank everyone so much for tuning in this evening and talking with us about gentrification. Please keep the conversation going. I got a finger.
Hold on a second. I was putting the quote in there.
Oh no, that's okay.
I didn't get to tell you, so. Yeah.
But yeah, keep the keep the conversation going. Follow us on our social media and keep this conversation up. We really do want to hear about your community and things that you are seeing happening in your community. And we will do our level best to give some extra information down in the description box. So it's not there right now, but it will go into the description box below to just let you know of some different things that are available generally speaking, okay? Because gentrification, no matter where it takes place, no matter whose dynamic is affected, is just a screwed up concept in and of itself. All right, so it doesn't matter if it's affecting Black communities, white communities, purple, green, or orange communities. It is a problem. So we're going to be sharing information because we do appreciate Linda with the extra bits and pieces. So we're going to be looking for some of that, Linda, and we're going to be putting in our description box so that those who come back across this video will be able to find some tools and resources in our description so that they can go about finding the help that they need. So like we do every single episode, we're going to give you a word of encouragement or your tip for the week. And our tip for the week says there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. And that's Margaret Wheatley. Everything that we talked about this evening definitely points to that for certain. Please make sure that you start to take responsibility for your community and what your community sincerely has to offer. You got to show up.
Get involved, show up to the meetings, go there. Even if you don't understand what's going on at the time, record it, bring it back to somebody else who might can explain it to you better. Like, you have to become more involved in your community if you want it to remain.
So the topic of gentrification was recommended to us by a viewer, and we felt like we'd take it and run with it. So that's really good stuff. So if you want to hear your topic discussed between the Melanin Mindset, please go ahead and comment down below or message us on our inbox. Our email address is down in our description, and you can suggest a topic to us just the same, and we will do the research. We did the research on this one. We had to look it up, y'all. But next week... Next week, we're coming with a Melanin Mindset original, and we about to have some fun, y'all. We're going to talk about ghetto names next week.
Ghetto names. In our first Monday in Black History Month, we're going to talk about these ghetto names.
We're going to talk about ghetto names, y'all. Tomorrow is day 1 of Black History Month. Please share this with someone you care about, and please continue to support the Melanin Mindset. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, friend.
And have a great night. Love you guys.
Good night, y'all. Feeling inspired and want to know what you can do to help? Join the Melanin Mindset in signing the C.R.O.W.N. Act petition. We've included some instructions here on the screen. Feel free to find that description box down below, and the link is right there for you at the very top. You too can make a difference. We want to be the change. Help us make a difference. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and remember, protect your peace and share this with someone you care about. Good night, y'all.